Welcome, everyone, to the MMOs.com podcast. Altays here with episode number 200, and I'm joined this week by the one, the only...
Remo.
There it is. A big surprise guest for you guys. Remo Tay in the flesh here
Remo Tay?
Here
Wow.
on the stream, guys. All right? What a shock. Our
What a
200 episode special, okay? There it is.
Listen, 200 is just, listen, guys. 200 is just a number. It's like age is just a number. All right.
It is. It's true.
All right. We should get right to it. The biggest and I think the most interesting story this week was actually a publication by the UK Parliament. Okay, the UK Parliament did an investigative report and published a report titled "Financial Harms of Immersive Technologies." A very fancy title. But of course, the premise of the article, of the report, was basically discussing loot boxes and microtransactions in online games, something we've talked about on the MMOs.com podcast for quite some time. But I found this report particularly interesting, and it showed us some granular detail on at least a few companies, mainly Jagex, because Jagex is actually based in the United Kingdom, and the report came out of the UK government. Of course, they asked Jagex some questions about RuneScape, and I found some of these numbers to be pretty interesting. Do you want to go over them?
Well, we know that, for example, 1/3 of revenue for Jagex comes from loot boxes. So remember, RuneScape is still a subscription game. It does offer a free version, but you're very, very limited. It's a very low skill cap. So the majority still comes from subscriptions, but 1/3, which actually is bigger than I thought, honestly, for a subscription game. Now, of that loot box money, so people apparently do weird stuff with some of this microtransaction. Actually, one more thing that I found amazing. They actually cap you. RuneScape has a cap. I believe it's £1,000 a week or month, and then there's an even bigger cap for the whole year.
Yeah, so the more interesting thing that people do with the money in RuneScape is first of all, what's surprising is 1/3 of revenues come from microtransactions, and that's despite old school RuneScape being by far the larger of the two games. There's regular RuneScape and old school RuneScape. Old school RuneScape gets over 100,000 players daily, concurrent users. It's much more popular than regular RuneScape, and the only microtransactions really in old school RuneScape are bonds. Players can basically purchase subscriptions using with in-game currency with bonds. So you buy a bond from Jagex for like $15, and then you can sell it in game, which is redeemable for in-game premium currency, premium time. So basically, it lets you transfer US dollars to in-game currency and vice through that. And regular RuneScape, on the other hand, is very much a pay-to-win game. It is very much you can spend basically thousands of dollars skipping a lot of content, getting experience, leveling up skills. It's actually almost like a lot of those browser strategy games we've discussed, because there are so many ways to spend money in regular RuneScape, and they're making a fortune off the microtransactions in regular RuneScape. And more interestingly, though, there's some interesting gambling mechanics in RuneScape that I never even knew about till this report came out. There's something in RuneScape called staking, and apparently, here's a video I'll take and show people. Basically, in this video, people are doing something called staking in the game. They're betting on the outcome of duels. Okay, so you can bet in-game currency on the outcome of duels. And apparently, in this one video alone, according to the UK report, and people that have played RuneScape can confirm this or not, people are betting apparently 20 plus billion units of gold through white prisms, which are worth about like 25 units each. So every single one of these duels are worth like up to $1,000 worth of in-game currency, apparently, based on the UK report. So this guy says staking has ruined my life, and in this video, he's betting thousands of dollars to the outcome of these duels. And what's remarkable is duels in RuneScape aren't entirely a skill based. I mean, there's a certain skill ceiling in the game that once you're able to at least play not like a retard, for example, the outcome of these duels are basically 50-50. The person who wins is almost entirely determined by RNG. Skill plays a minimal role, especially when both players are about equally skilled. It's basically a 50-50 coin toss. People are betting on the outcome of duels. And people are betting thousands of dollars through in-game RNG mechanics in RuneScape, which is remarkable.
Yeah, and I think I think these people are intentionally all using the same weapon. It seems, so I think they're intentionally trying to make it like a 50-50 duel. So they're not moving around. So I think they're intentionally removing skill from the equation. So
There's gambling.
Yeah, this is a very intentional gambling mechanism system that these players are engaging in within the game.
So again, people are buying bonds or basically they're betting real life money worth of currency in game, which is remarkable. They're staking thousands of dollars on these duels. And in that one video alone, there's so many duels being done. I do enjoy the comments. Like the top comment is, "You are fucking autistic," and it is very entertaining. All right, that's my favorite comment of this video. So it's just remarkable how much money is being used to bet in these games, and I do think ultimately the report itself concludes basically that they have to find a way to get loot boxes out of the hands of minors, because minors are getting used to gambling or gambling mechanics in these games, whether it's through the FIFA loot boxes, whether it's through dueling, staking in RuneScape, or anything else. But what's even more remarkable about RuneScape is the game is a very thriving betting ecosystem. So if you Google, for example, on Google, just basically RuneScape betting, there are websites you can bet on various casino games. So if you go to, example, Big Boy Bets, all right, great name by the way. You know, Big Boy Bets. Good. We're going to highlight you guys on MMOs.com stream because you're the number 2 search result on Google. Players can make accounts on here basically, and it looks like you can bet on. You can play poker with other players. You can do roulette and other casino games, whether it's blackjack and whatnot. And apparently, the way you're betting is you're betting in-game currency. So they've apparently gambled 490 million gold so far on their website. So I imagine once you make an account with them, you go to their cashier, and you can actually you can transfer money, you can deposit money in game to them through, I guess, one of their characters in game. Either send the money in game or some way to transfer money to their in-game bots, and then that registers you on their website. You can gamble with those goods, which is interesting. There's several websites for betting with RuneScape currency on these third-party websites. What's interesting though is you would think if Jagex gave any fucks about this is very easy to stop. I mean, all you would have to do is, if you're Jagex, is you would deposit money on one of these websites to their in-game bots, and just literally ban the account that receives it, and you're done. You just basically stop them in their tracks. But of course, Jagex benefits financially by allowing these third-party gambling websites, because kids that play RuneScape clearly get addicted. So some 14-year-old gets addicted to blackjack, or he's shooting craps on his bullshit website with his RuneScape money, and he loses all his money. What's he gonna do? Hey mom, can I spend $10 on RuneScape? Oh, it's a video game. Sure, why not? And the kid is gonna buy a bond in RuneScape, which he can sell in game for 10 million gold or 20 million gold, in game gold, and he'll deposit that 20 million gold on RuneBet or Big Boy Bets, RuneChat, RuneScape Gambling, all these websites, except in-game currency. So when the parents are thinking they're paying money for RuneScape, right? But really, they're just literally funding, potentially their kid's blackjack addiction.
A roulette table.
Or roulette table. Because that's where the RuneScape gold is going. Which is remarkable, because it just I haven't seen this in WoW or other games. I mean, sure, you can do like /random in WoW, but you can't advertise that in game. And if there's any third-party website that lets you bet or play blackjack with in-game gold in WoW, I mean, it's very easy to stop. Blizzard could easily just ban the accounts associated with those websites and done. They're shut down. But apparently, Jagex doesn't care.
And what's interesting about this is, first of all, it shows the value of a government kind of inquiry on an industry like this, because after all, I actually didn't know. I didn't know how big of a deal gambling was in RuneScape, right? And so after this report came out, the UK, members of parliament are basically now calling for a blanket ban on loot boxes for kids, aimed at kids, until they can kind of regulate this, because they were so shocked at how willfully obtuse and non-transparent these gaming companies were being with the with the government, with the public, and so I think, and it brought to light some huge, issues with a game that's specifically aimed for kids, right? RuneScape. So it is interesting, and I do think more regulation will follow, both in Europe and America, because inquiries like this.
And somebody in the chat said it's interesting that if that 490 million bet is accurate, that's about $58 million US of bets taken.
Wow.
Which it's believable. Here's why. Because the same money is changing hands. If I bet $100 worth of RuneScape gold in a hand of blackjack and I win, I can just bet 100 again and I might lose. So I bet now $200 worth of betting, but for a wash, 1 win, 1 loss. So the total nominal amount may seem very high. But accounting for all the wins and losses, it might end up being very small. Let's assume a good way to look at it too is actually maybe if you look at the total bets, let's say they have about 3% house edge overall. So we can multiply the 58 million by 3%. The website made about 1.7 million in gross profit basically on their gambling activities from all their users. So that's a better way to look at it. I mean, it's still a lot of money for one website. We don't know if they're the biggest website. I mean, they're actually not the first one on Google for it. There's something called RuneBet as well. There's a bunch of these websites. So. And somebody said according to inquiry, only 3% of kids between 12 to 16 use third-party betting websites. Man, that's just third-party. There are players in-game that can do /random and stuff. They can basically gamble in-game with the staking mechanic or other ways as well. I mean, for example, in Final Fantasy 14, I run my in-game casino, which is allowed in Final Fantasy 14. Which sometimes I wonder, sometimes even Remo wonders if he's doing quite a service to the community by allowing this kind of gambling, because I do see, and I've mentioned before in previous podcasts, I do see addictive tendencies developing. I mentioned in a previous podcast, one guy asked me, like, listen, I have an addictive personality. Can you just not let me play in your casino anymore? Can you ban me from your casino? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. You can't play in my casino anymore. If you ask me, I'm like, no, you can't play. You asked me to ban you. You can't play. And this guy, he's trying to tell me in Final Fantasy IV, this after he lost like 15, 20 million gil to me in game, which is worth probably like 50, 60 bucks. Not a lot of money, right? 60, 70 bucks. And he told me, like, every time he gets tempted to go to casinos in real life, and he loses like thousands of dollars in real life from like his compulsive gambling and his inability for self-control. So he's clearly old enough to gamble, right? If he's losing money in casinos, but not everybody's like that. I mean, I see people gambling with me in Final Fantasy 14, and they have addictive personalities. I mean, the same people. I've had customers of Final Fantasy 14 gamble with me for like 100,000 gil, which is nothing. It's a fun amount that you gamble with, right? For like a month, right? They'll bet small amounts here and there, and then all of a sudden, like the next week, he comes to me and bets like 5 million gil, like, or he starts losing, tries to win it back, and people that would normally only bet a very small amount end up betting very large amounts. So I can see the effect of gambling on people, and it is interesting to observe. Now I don't particularly feel bad about it, only because I do offer, I think, the best odds in Final Fantasy on Gilgamesh. Listen, if they're not losing their money to Remo,
the best cocaine. Okay, I don't feel bad.
I got the exact.
You're addicted, but it's the best cocaine out.
If they're not buying my shit, they're buying someone else's shit, which they're gonna get ripped off even more. Okay, I got a 12% house edge. My competitors got 15, 16% house edge. If they don't lose their money to Remo, they will lose their money to somebody else. All right, so that's why I don't feel bad about it. But it is remarkable to see, and this is a game where it's allowed. You know, in World of Warcraft, for example, you were not allowed to advertise any kind of player casinos, though they're not forbidden, which is interesting because I thought about running a casino in Classic WoW because you can't advertise it. It has to be run on Discord. So as long as people if you make like a Discord channel and people find it and they agree to bet with you, you just talk on Discord. Say, okay, you give me like 10 gold, you roll over 60, I double your money, right? You just can't communicate the rules in game. But it's allowed, so you can't get reported for it. You cannot get reported for it. You just cannot advertise it in game or in guild chats or anything. But if they find you on Discord or some public WoW Discord, and you can even use /random on Discord as well. Discord bots have random commands, so you could run a casino in Final Fantasy in World of Warcraft, just not in game.
Interesting. I'm sure somebody's gonna be doing that, like a bot even.
Mm-hmm. And even like it really just brings home just how much. If you look at the monetization of the gaming industry in the last like 10, 15 years. With the rise of free-to-play and loot boxes, the revenue per user has gone through the roof. I mean, companies like EA, Activision Blizzard, all these giant game companies, Take-Two with GTA, they are no longer selling you a $60 product or a $50 product, and that's it. You know, people say, oh, they sell us DLCs and season passes now. Yeah, but that's nothing, boys. That doesn't scratch the surface. The money comes on the recurring revenue from the microtransactions. You know, these same companies. Their revenues are going through the roof. They're releasing less products in terms of like box sales, but they're making more money. They're getting more profitable because of microtransactions. We see it firsthand on MMOs.com with we profit off of like revenue share we make with some of the browser game companies. We said it before. If you look on MMOs.com, we get 50% of the revenue share with that Vikings game. Okay, let me look you once again the most profitable game on MMOs.com. We have made more money from this bullshit game than we made off of our like 3-week launch deal with Black Desert Online, where they spent like Black Desert Online when they launched, boys. They spent like $7,000 for like advertising on MMOs.com. That's nothing. We made more money off Vikings War of Clans from this page because we get 50% revenue share, and we can see players that sign up from our link. They spend thousands of dollars. We get half of that. One guy spent $10,000. One guy. We got $5,000 of that. Can't complain. But it is remarkable that the people that spend money on these games, they spend so much money. And we've seen the average revenue per users. I've talked to Area Games. I've talked to these big game publishers, Game Ago and stuff, right? Because we do revenue share with them. They tell us, like, basically advertising to us, like, listen, promote our games on MMOs.com and we'll give you like 20% of revenue share, a 30% revenue share. And they pitch that with like, they had to put some context on that number, right? They say our average user spends like, Area Games, I still remember to this day, they told us our average paying user spends like $800. $800 for Area Games. The average. Remember, that's of the paying users. So the average paying user for an old console game is $50. You can't spend anymore. But the average paying user for Area, they had the shittiest games. They had Last Chaos. They had Shea. These Garbo games. You know, they're spending on average $800. That means half of them are spending more. It's crazy.
You know, in one way, it's obviously crazy because these games look like nothing burgers. But imagine other hobbies, right? Like golf, or I don't know, or snowboarding. Every time you go, you're gonna spend a couple $100s, right? Whether you're renting the gear for the slope pass, but somehow it feels better than this, right? Why is that? Imagine this game is your hobby and you make a decent income. Is that a problem?
I don't think it is, but it does feel weird. I've been arguing for a long time. I don't think it's a problem, but it does. Something about it feels off to me because I think I make a decent income, but I don't spend money on these kind of games. I don't mind spending money on things I enjoy. You know, I have no problem buying a game. You know, and if I buy like if I spend like $5 on a skin, I think in the years I played Final Fantasy 14, I bought one item or two items in the game's Mog Station, their cash shop, for a total of, drumroll please, $10. That's all I've spent in the cash shop. It was for a nice outfit.
You know, we have some people in this chat that I've mentioned they spent good money on some of these mobile games, and I think if you are okay with it, you know, it's one thing. But I do think a lot of people, it is an addiction. And I can tell. I had a very normie dinner once, and this girl was complaining that her friend was complaining that the friend's boyfriend was spending hundreds of dollars a week on FIFA. And then the friend said, that's fine. It's his money. Why do you care? You know, it's his hobby. And then she said to me, but don't tell anyone. He doesn't want anyone to know. He's ashamed. I'm like, well, that's a problem then. Like, you know, how can you once say it's not a problem, it's his money, and then if he's himself ashamed of it, it's clearly a problem, right? Like, he's not. I
agree. If you're ashamed, then it is clearly a problem. If you can tell somebody, listen, I love my fucking waifus in Fate Grand Order. I love my waifus in Azurlane. I love my anime JPEGs. All right, and I don't mind spending $500 a month on rolling gachas in Fate Grand Order or Azurlane or, you know, Girls Frontline or any random gacha game. If you can say that proudly, good for you. There's nothing to be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed of at that point. But if you're embarrassed to talk about your hobbies, then there's a problem, I think.
Yeah, and it is. So someone said they spent 845 euros over 9 years in League. Somehow that feels to me less bad or not bad at all compared to like how fast the money goes in a lot of these browser strategy games.
That's an important point too. People are mentioning like spending like $500 on a game. Listen, the numbers for Overwatch, for example, I don't think the average Overwatch player spends like $80 a month on their games, right? I remember Area Games telling me specifically the average spend per month was over $100. So on average, they spent over $100 a month for 8 months. That was like the life cycle, the lifetime value of their customers on average. So when you're spending over $100 a month on some bullshit game on AreaGames.com versus over 9 years for League of Legends, come on. 9 years spending $800. That's less than $100 a year. That's like $7 a month, guys. That's like 2 lattes a month. Okay, nobody should feel bad about spending $1,000 over 9 years on a game they've probably played, 1,000 hours or if not way more than that. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with spending money on games you enjoy. It's obviously in moderation and what you can afford to do. Nobody should feel bad about spending $1,000.
There is does anyone make a distinction between I guess positive spending versus pressured spending? So in a game where you're enjoying it, right, and you just want more of an item, you want more skins, more characters, more roles, so you buy them. To me, that's a positive, right? Whereas a lot of these strategy browser games, I feel, are kind of designed to put you in a very high pressure, timed state. So imagine like some guild is attacking your guild, and you're about to lose like weeks of progress. But all you got to do is click this one button to auto build like 1,000 people, but it's going to cost you like $1,000. But you only have like a minute to make that decision, right? Or else you lost your base or whatever.
Those browser strategy games, they do feel predatory because of that, right? Yes. I see that, right? But interestingly, I think the gacha game approach is actually working better lately. We've seen these. We have seen browser and mobile strategy games like Final Fantasy 15 and New Empire. That Game of War. Those games have made a lot of money. But the ones that are making more money, $1 billion a year, games like Fate Grand Order, the gacha games are actually amazingly successful. And I want to link you a video, Altays. And this is actually a very interesting video. I don't play these games too much myself, so I've actually been out of the loop on a lot of gacha games. I mean, I know there's waifus in these games, right? I've known that for a long time. However, I didn't know they monetize quite like this. So my friend linked me this video for a skin they got in Azurlane, and like, oh my god! I actually, the story started. I'm not gonna name my friend, obviously, but the story started with I'm embarrassed to admit, but I spent money on Azurlane. Okay, it's a waifu gacha game, right? And I'm like, did you at least get the skin you wanted? Like, yeah, I got the skin I wanted. I linked it to you in an NSFW. They linked me this in an NSFW chat because they didn't feel comfortable looking in a general Discord chat. And this is a skin they got. It's on YouTube, so it's allowed. So let's take a look at this video, Altays.
All right, let's see. You linked me this. Okay, I saw.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just
so
from
this
the
is
play
a-
from the timestamp.
Okay, I'm playing it. So this is a skin or a
Mhm.
character.
I think it's a skin for a character.
Oh, okay. So it's a bikini one, I guess.
Yes. So it says your eyes are wandering. Hee hee. What's on your mind? You can tell me. And you can see on the right side in the profile page, you can rub or special touch your character to get different
Special
quotes.
touch.
What does that even mean? What does that mean? Really now, Commander? I understand your eagerness, but there's a time and a place. No. Again, this is literally just not, what. That is a good question, Kadesh. What is spazzing icon on the left? It looks really cute though.
It's like a
So-
chibi version, I guess, of the character.
So you can they basically the default skin for this character is probably very busty and attractive too, but this bikini skin is exceptionally revealing, and her boobs are enormous and wonderful. And it's remarkable that in this, there's clearly gameplay here too. By the way, in Azurlane, I actually think the gameplay. I played this probably for like a couple hours. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into most mobile games, but I played the core gameplay in Azurlane is actually, I would say, better than most gacha games. It's kind of actiony. You have to actually move around manually, dodge attacks. So the core gameplay isn't terrible. It is remarkable that they realize where the money comes from. These, like, my friend was excited to get the skin so they can see all the art in game like this, right?
Does it do anything besides the art? Like, do you
No,
get stat boost or
no,
anything?
no. Usually, no. These almost never give you stat boost. They're just doing it for the art. There is a connection between the characters and the players, right? They're banking on this connection. And actually, this is probably the best. The Azurlane is probably not the best example, but keep it running in the background. But I was talking to Australia, right? And she was telling me that the game that probably mastered the connection between waifu and customer best is that game from Psy Games. It's Grand Blue Fantasy, right? So in Grand Blue Fantasy, during like the Valentine's Day events, if you spend enough money, if I remember correctly, if you spend enough money, you actually get a physical card in the mail signed by the character, apparently. Okay, obviously
Signed by the character.
of course, probably some dude signing it or like some voice actor, whatever, right? If you spend enough money, you get like a picture of the character signed saying like very personal messages. So that level of connection between the waifu in the game and their loyal customers, they're monetizing that relationship really well. People do clearly view it not just as a wife. There's some kind of some relationship there, which is interesting. I find it very interesting. She told me the details like about a year ago. I kind of forgot most of them now. If she was here, she would have clarified for us. But they do such a good job of building the story, the characters, the art, the waifu, the bikini skins. Like there's a story there. I still love the fact that you can in this game you can do a special rub. You can do a rub or a special touch in this game. It's so weird, isn't it?
Very weird. Very weird. I think I'd rather catch my kid like smoking weed than like playing one of these games. Like imagine you walk in on your son like 14 whatever, and he's on his phone and he's like facing away, so you see it on his phone. He's like, He's like, Dad, I was just looking at something. Someone linked me. It's funny, right? Like, son, what's wrong with you?
Son, just take a cigarette.
Yeah.
All right, just do something. Do something else.
Here's a bottle of gin. Here's a pack of Marlboros. All right, go be normal.
I think plays a good point. The Grand Blue also monetized the female. Yes, they do have husbandos as well. Though it does seem like the majority of player base. Actually, no. Grand Blue Fantasy is actually special in their regards. They have a big percent of female players, more so than other gacha games. I think there's still obviously more male players, but the percentage of male to female is actually skews higher for that game than other mobile waifu games. And they do a good job of catering to their female player base as well with husbandos. They do a really good job of building the relationship between waifu and player and monetize it really well.
Can we quote that, please? The relationship between waifu and player.
Yeah. Again, it's remarkable. This is monetizing better than the pay-to-win mobile strategy games. It seems there's more longevity here. Interestingly enough, there's actually an art book for this game too. My friend linked me. Look, I actually really think this game's got really pretty art. Right, that character in particular in the video, I think is the boobs are a little too big, right? A man who appreciates some good lolly flat chest, it's a little too big boob for me. But if you look at their art book, which is launching in October, take a look at this art book. It looks pretty nice, right?
Welcome to Akashi's secret storage. All right, let's see it. How do I
And
see
look,
this?
just scrolling, you see the sample pictures.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I click these. No.
No, you can't. You can see them over there. But I like the one on the right. You can see if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a video as well. And happy 1-year anniversary for Azurlane. You can see just skim around. The game is it's a waifu gacha game. I think the game actually has really good art, like really top tier.
I'm actually
artist.
I'm not interested. It doesn't do it for me. This like anime art
Doesn't
style.
do it for you. Doesn't do it for you. Does it for me. Does it for Remo.
I can see it, but forget the sexual aspect. I just don't think it's a good art style. Like
I can't forget the sexual aspect. All right, there's quite a bit of sexual aspect going on here. They added Kizuna AI to this game too. That Japanese AI YouTube thing.
I don't know.
What's interesting to me is actually go to like in this video. If you go to my favorite, go to 243 and hit play. Look at the cosplay, and then look at the big booby girl with the side boobs everywhere. Ooh, I like it. I like what I see.
It just looks cheesy, and like it's just like cheap CGI. I don't know.
All right, what's remarkable too for me is this game is actually Chinese. I bet you a lot of people don't realize that. Azurlane is developed by a Chinese company. Both Azurlane and Girls Frontline, Girls Frontline is not nearly as popular, but both are waifu games, and they're both developed by Chinese companies. And we've seen Chinese companies kind of emulate the Japanese look. There's almost like a premium if your game is Japanese, right? So I'm pretty sure both Azurlane and Girls Frontline actually have Japanese dubs in the game. They don't put Chinese dubs in the game. They put even in the Chinese version of Azurlane, there are Japanese dubs by default. So there's this premium, like if you're an anime-looking game, having the Japanese aesthetic is kind of like a premium. So, and a lot of these Chinese companies copy a lot of things we've discussed in the past. And a lot of their PC copies and clones don't really work out because people kind of see through the soulless behavior. But I have a theory, Altai. A lot of mobile games that Chinese companies rip off end up being good. I actually think Azurlane is a good game for what it's trying to do. I think it's one of the better waifu gacha games, right? The core gameplay is fine. The art is good. They did a really good job of emulating that, like the fake Grand Order experience, right? They did a good job of emulating that.
Oh yeah, I think the Chinese studios are learning very quickly, both in art and game development. Like there was a mobile MMO we both tried, Dawn Isles or something.
Yeah,
I believe it was by like NetEase.
NetEase.
Okay, that game same shtick, by the way. It was a Chinese developed game, Chinese studio, Chinese everything, but all of the audio was in Japanese. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I suspect in the years ahead, if not, I don't know how many years, but we're gonna see more anime, like it looks like anime, come out of China than Japan.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's easier to copy the mobile game design more than the PC game design, because we've seen Chinese companies try to emulate, like Western PC MMORPGs, and all we get are these really weird games like Revelation Online and Eternal Magic, these very funky, soulless, grind fests.
That's true. Also, it's just bigger now, so you have a lot more money. The bigger studios are probably pouring into mobile.
But these games it's remarkable. I like the art in this game. I mean, this is on par with Fake Grand Order, I would say, or any of the premier Japanese gacha games. Being Chinese really isn't a downside for a game like Azurlane. They're giving their players everything you'd find in other traditional Japanese gacha game. Even though gacha games are, did they originate in Japan? Do you know? I'm pretty sure they get from gachapons.
I mean, yeah, the term did.
Yeah. But yeah, Azurlane, boys, you want to get some big titty anime waifus? Check out Azurlane. That art book has some quality art in it too. Clearly, here's something they're gonna sell. Oh, here's the page if you want to see some samples out there. Scroll, look at this page, and then we can go to a different topic. All right, what is the implication with that girl sucking on that ice cream, huh? With the popsicle. There's no implication. Nothing sexual going on over there, boys. Nothing sexual with this lolly character holding a cold popsicle on the beach, right? Everyone who thinks anything dirty, you got something dirty in your own mind, right?
Palming the phallic airplane.
Yeah, Altays, you have a dirty mind. Right? This is just an innocent girl at a nice hot day at the beach enjoying herself. All right, perfectly normal. It's only everybody in the chat trying to loot her. All right, that's it. Perfectly normal. I'm gonna save this picture for later, for some normal use later on. But nothing lewd going on here.
You know what'd be funny? If China finally gets like America or the West to like ban anime by going too far. Like they do all this kind of very suggestive. Like there's no.
Japanese animes have been very suggestive for a very long time.
I don't know. I think the Chinese are gonna take it like to the next step.
Freezing Tag made my favorite comment acceptable. We show all my friends. Yes, I love it. Exactly, I carry injustice, sir. I'm a feminist when it matters. All right. Yeah, that's mobile waifu games.
All right, let's go to League for a minute.
All right.
Also,
big story for this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a 10th anniversary coming up, October 15th, and they, in their announcement of the anniversary, they announced that they have 8 million daily peak concurrent players still. That's a big number. 8 million people are playing League of Legends right now, boys.
That's actually remarkable because the last time we got an official statistic, I think, was in 2016. So it's been almost a little over 3 years, almost 3 years since we got a statistic from them before. And I think it was around 10 million or 7.5 million back then. So the number has definitely decreased a little bit, but 10 years after launch, League of Legends still has 8 million concurrent users. Now, if that game was on Steam, it would have more players than the top 10 Steam games combined. Actually, it's like top 15 games combined today, which is remarkable for a 10-year-old game. And people were saying League's been dead for a while now, right? Clearly not. 10 million?
8 million people
8 million is insane.
Dead
8 million
game.
is insane.
Dead game.
That is absolutely nuts. Again,
It does
look at
include
Steam
China.
right now.
Someone said it does not include. It does include China, and in fact, I'm willing to bet that 2/3 of those players are probably in China.
Yeah, I wish we got a breakdown of the player base between North America, Europe, China, and South Korea, and the rest of Asia. Because as Altays said, the NA player base might not be huge.
I really think the NA player base has plummeted, personally, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, we have no data on this. Somebody asked, what's more dead, League or Dota? I mean, Dota 2. If you look at Steam, the peak players in the last 30 days is 826,000. So the player base for League is about 10 times larger than Dota 2 right now. So Dota's 826,000 peak is still pretty good. Nothing to feel bad about. The game's doing great. They I think they had the biggest prize pool in esports history with the last international. So they're still doing well. League happens to be 10 times bigger, which is remarkable. 10 times bigger.
Indeed.
So and I think it's still the biggest PC game in the world yearly. If you look at it, people are saying Fortnite is bigger. Fortnite, I think, hit 8.3 million peak concurrent users, but that's if you count all the platforms, right? Which is not exactly a fair comparison. If you look at the Fortnite during the Marshmallow concert with the DJ, they hit 10.7 million or so. So 10.7 million peak concurrent users is all-time high for the game during some concert, and that includes, again, mobile, console, and PC combined.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely bigger than Fortnite if we're only looking at
PC. Yeah, so there you go.
And 10-year anniversary, it's interesting what this whole era has basically been the League of Legends PC era. I think it is kind of fading now, but it basically defined, I think, the past decade of PC gaming. And
it really the same game people have been playing for 10 years. It's like Riot Games is still a one-game studio. I mean, they work on a fighting game. Clearly, they've announced they made some like meme mobile games, but they're basically a one-game studio, and they've made all their money over all these years, over $1 billion a year lately, purely on League of Legends. This entire time.
Do you think it's wise for them to make another game, especially like a random fighting game? I wish they stuck with the same what's it called, IP, right? But
League characters in there.
Yeah, exactly. Have League characters, but I don't know if fighting game is the way to go. But we'll see. We'll see how they do it.
I mean, I wish them luck. I mean, so far, no one's been able to take a fighting game and really bring it to the masses besides Nintendo. I mean, Smash Brothers has been the most successful fighting game in the world. I mean, people say, "Oh, I got Tekken, bro, Soul Calibur, bro." Like the sales for those games are like nothing. If you look at the total sales for like Street Fighter, even it's a couple million units, right? It's not high. Any Smash Brothers game outsells all of those. So there is no mainstream appeal for fighting games, it seems. So I think if Riot Games wants any success, they have to somehow broaden the audience. And I think fundamentally, fighting games is a big design issue. We've talked about this in the past before, but I have a theory about why fighting games don't do very well, why MOBAs do really well, and why StarCraft 2 didn't do really well. I think when you're playing a fighting game, they're usually one-on-one. And when you lose to somebody in a fighting game, you lost because they're better than you. They won, they beat you 5 times in a row because they're better than you. There's no RNG in a fighting game. You lose because they're better than you. Guess what, guys? If you lose in League of Legends, you lose in Dota 2, you didn't lose because they're better than you. You lost because you have shit teammates. Nobody takes responsibility in League. I've played League for years. No one says, you know what? It was my fault we lost. No, I lost because I have shit teammates. Everyone says, oh, I'm in Elo Hell. I should be like 5 ranks higher. The beauty of League of Legends, the beauty of the game design is that there is room to blame other people. You can't do that in fighting games. You can't do that. And that's one of the reasons I think Battle Right couldn't succeed either. There's not enough RNG in Battle Right. It's basically all skill. All skill-based games like StarCraft 2, Battle Right, and any fighting game is going to have a niche, small audience because people don't like losing, especially in this era. I feel like in this era, it feels a bit more like people don't want to be told everybody wants to be a winner. Okay, and people don't like losing. You feel bad about it, and that's why I don't think any fighting game can ever have mass appeal. And the only reason I think and people would say, what about Smash Brothers? Here's the thing about Smash Brothers: the people that play Smash Brothers, it's very easy to like overlook the fact that you people in the chat, myself included, right? We play Smash Brothers. We play Final Destination, no items, 3 stock or 4 stock. That's how real men play their Smash Brothers. That's how discerning gentlemen play Smash Brothers, right? No items. If you play with items, what the fuck are you doing, right? If you're a serious gamer, right? But I bet you 95% or more of Smash Brothers players use default settings. They play it with only items on. And that's it. And there's no skill then. It's literally RNG. If you lose in Smash Brothers, if you're an average gamer, you don't lose because you're bad. You lost because the guy got the star before you did, or you got the stupid hammer and he one-shot you. That's why Smash does well. It's the RNG in the game. The people that play with no items, we are a minority. The people that are playing skill-based Smash Brothers, we're such a tiny minority of the game's audience.
I think we should come up with some technical terms for this phenomenon you've highlighted. Let's call it so games where you can blame other people and deflect responsibility. Let's call those ego-inflating games. And games where you have to just face the harsh reality that you suck and you lost are ego-deflating games. I
like that. So, we're creating some new technical terminology here on the MMOs.com podcast, all right?
Yeah. So for all you wannabe game designers out there, so that's it. You got to aim for a ego-inflating game. So even when if the player wins, he won because he's amazing. When he lost, he didn't lose because he sucks. He's still amazing, okay? But everyone else messed it up for him. So that's the mindset you got to instill in your player if you want to be successful.
It's really true. Though. Somebody mentioned about button mashing and fighting games. That can work to a degree, but again, like I played Canaris in Smash in Street Fighter V. I didn't take one stock off him, but one like round, right? It's best of 3, not one round. We played for a while. So button mashing is not going to carry the game. If you have 2 players button mashing, I guess it's kind of random. It could work out, but there is something to be said about just playing a game and you lose because you suck. Ego deflating and ego inflating is very important. And look at all the successful games, even Hearthstone. Any card game is RNG. RNG-driven games have an inherent advantage of making people feel good. And the reason why FPS games, I think, appeal to so many people, Counter-Strike or any Call of Duty, any FPS game, because there's some degree of RNG when you shoot people. Every shitter in Counter-Strike, no matter how bronze you are, no matter how Silver League you are, no matter how bottom of the barrel you are, everybody has a moment in Counter-Strike where they bust out of dust, one of the doors in Dust 2, literally hold down the left mouse button with 0 aiming, and get like 5 headshots out of nowhere. And he feels like a god. For that brief moment, he was a god. And when he dies, he can always say, listen, he got a lucky headshot. Some bullshit. He pre-fired. Got lucky. I lagged.
Pre-fire is my favorite excuse ever.
Yeah. So, like, in a game, the more excuses you can have, the better. Okay? And you have so many excuses in Counter-Strike. You can blame your teammates. You can blame your own RNG or their own RNG. In League, you can always blame your teammates. You have 5 teammates, And it's so easy to blame any one of them. Oh, and not only that, you never ganked my lane. Oh, the beauty of the league too is you can blame the enemy team. Oh, we lost because my lane got camped. Oh, the enemy jungle camped my lane. How dare that guy? He's trying to win the game. He's trying to kill you. What? Who would have guessed? It's remarkable. You can blame the enemy team. You can blame your team. You won't blame yourself. So, very ego inflating. It's very important to design your game with enough RNG and enough blame to go around. The games that are the most successful have the most blame.
I wonder if how do we incorporate this principle now into MMOs? So you have to basically over-reward, or the sensation of reward has to be earned, but any sensation of defeat has to be minimized. But not too. But here's the problem: there's no loss in MMOs, right?
Yes.
So we have to reintroduce the sense of loss, but at the same time be able to deflect it away from you to the world.
Yeah, but that's also another reason maybe why a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft players, they don't participate in Mythic rating or Savage rating, Because in those circles, right, people are always going to be, if people are going to quickly blame bad players. If you die in World of Warcraft because you didn't do a mechanic, you die in Final Fantasy XIV because you didn't do a mechanic, everyone is going to know. There's no hiding it. It's like, we die because you literally fucked up this mechanic, and they get blamed. And that's why a lot of casual players don't do that. And that's why I think actually it's the player base that does high-end rating in any MMORPG is a very small percent of the overall players. And most players in any MMORPG are very casual. And they're casual because, they don't want to feel like they're blaming people, Everyone's winning in those games. It's always win, win, win.
What about this? I have a suggestion, and this would only work for the DPS. Okay, so think Final Fantasy or WoW. They're looking for raid queued dungeons, right? How Overwatch is MVP and stuff. So imagine at the end of a dungeon in WoW or Final Fantasy, it says MVP, top DPS, and it just lists him. It shows a picture to everyone. It also shows the worst.
Ooh.
So everyone would at least try a little, because they would be a little embarrassed not to be the one guy shown as being the worst in the group.
It would never happen.
No?
In this day and age, it can never happen. This idea, especially from Blizzard, who wants to feel good.
But you don't lose anything. It just shows.
It doesn't matter. You can't shame people. It would never happen. Everyone's about giving you that dopamine of feeling good about yourself. And I actually hate when it is done in such a way where the way Overwatch handles their system is at the end of the round, you can give 3 players good teamwork, great communication, these 3 bullshit rewards, right? It is so frustrating, and I feel pandered to, because the way that system works, it rewards you for clicking people. So like at the end of the round, I would just give it to random people because you get experience for giving people thumbs ups. So it's like, hey bro, here's a thumbs up. Yeah, oh thanks bro, here's a thumbs up to you too. You know, as it's gonna make us feel better, dude. Like you giving me a thumbs up because you get rewarded for it. I don't give a fuck about you. I'm only giving you a thumbs up because I get rewarded for it. It's. I feel insulted when that system feels insulting to my intelligence, to me as a person. If they just had a system where you can only give one thumbs up and you don't get some artificial reward of like, why can't the reward be having a thumbs up? Why can't I be rewarded by somebody telling me I'm good? That would have worked just fine. But they're rewarding people with experience to give thumbs up, so everyone gives 3 random thumbs ups.
Or we can fix that by you get a reward if you get a thumbs up, but not for giving it. So you only give it as an actual reward. Like, oh wow, this guy was really good. He deserves this. Yeah.
But clearly the behavioral psychologists that they're employed at Blizzard, they realize people want to feel good about themselves, right? And most people, I guess, cannot draw this line of separation on why they're getting thumbs up. Like I realize the only reason I got a thumbs up is probably because most douchebags don't really care. They just get thumbs up randomly, right? But most people, when they get that thumbs up, they feel good. For some reason, that thumbs up works. It works on people. They do feel better. They've actually measured that endorsement system has had a negative impact on in terms of their it reduces their toxicity. So it works. But on people like me, that I feel like I can see through the system, the design of the system, it feels insulting. I actually feel insulted when I feel like thumbs up are going around. You're like, it's I don't know. It's weird.
It's an altered sense of reality.
Yes.
So people are feeling good when they don't deserve to.
Exactly. They don't deserve to feel good. All right. They gotta earn it. It's basically that. And it really does bother me.
You know what's insulting? Final Fantasy 14. So says Chaos Shield. Not me.
27 months in a row. Much love, fam. Much love. It's weird. So how can we get MMORPGs to fit this mold better? Is there any I don't know. It's actually one of there was an interview with Yoshi P in Famitsu magazine, right? It came out on Twitter a while ago. It was in Japanese. It discussed the current rate tier in Final Fantasy 14. The expansion just launched, and he talked about the difficulty for this rate tier. Okay, so the difficulty in this rate tier was they actually went out of their way to make this rate tier even easier than they usually do.
Wow.
And they said basically the DPS checks for the fights are typically like for the first set of rate tier, we typically reduce the DPS checks by 10% to ensure more people clear the content, right? Especially when expansion just launches, people are learning their class, optimal rotations aren't always known. So they make the first set of rates even easier, right? But they said for this expansion, we actually reduce the DPS checks by 15%. So 50% easier.
5-0?
15%. So from 10, okay, so go from 1-0 to 1-5, 10 to 15 is a 50% difference, right? In that number.
Okay.
So they made it 15% easier, the DPS checks. And the reason being, of course, was to encourage more people to clear the raids. And of course, being elitist that I am, I'm a little frustrated by that because the direction of the Savage rating seems to be going towards, more easy content.
Rip. Well, I'm not surprised. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
And the argument for that is, of course, more accessibility, and that the hardcore players, they can do the ultimate content, so this content designed for like 0.01% of the players, they can still handle that. So I guess they still have a point there. It's not the hardest content in the game, so adding that in there to make it.
How many tiers are there for the tier you're doing? So you fight that boss on a floating platform.
Yeah.
So you do it in Savage, right?
Well, that boss you can only do it in Savage, right? The ultimate is a different fight in it. That ultimate fight is only available in the ultimate stage. So you can't do it in easier mode. It's a different fight than the other fights. So there's normal mode, okay, and there's Savage. Basically, that's it. So normal, Savage, and then there's a separate fight that's an ultimate, which is designed only for the hardest.
Maybe they should add more tiers. Like WoW tries to please everyone. There's LFR tier, normal tier, heroic tier, and mythic. There's 4 tiers of the same boss.
Honestly, I'm okay with that because I really do think they could actually that's actually in a way a good system, because even though you've made an argument for a long time, there's only one difficulty setting, right? And I see the pros and cons to that, but I really see the benefit of having the existing fights just scaled up, make like the mechanics that would there's a lot of mechanics in the current fights that don't one shot you, right? That you're allowed to just eat and just survive, right? You get damage down, you do a little bit less damage, right? But they could just scale them up and more damage and make DPS checks tighter, and people would have more fun. There are a lot of people that love running the same fights over and over again to get better parts. But imagine instead of constantly fighting to improve your bullshit number on FF logs, which I do, by the way, it's kind of fun. Instead of doing that, imagine the mythic system in Final Fantasy in World of Warcraft, where you keep unlocking higher mythic difficulties by doing the fights, where all that happens is the DPS shit gets tighter, and everything is more punishing. Everything requires a little more healing, and you can literally algorithmically design those fights to keep players engaged forever. Basically, it just seems like I would have a lot more fun. All the Savage players that enjoy doing difficult content would have more fun, and you can even scale it down for the easier players. Everybody wins.
Win, win, win.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 14, do it.
And and we talked about this in person too. I wish they would add mythic dungeons where it keeps getting harder.
Oh yeah, it's such a good system. The mythic World of Warcraft does a lot right too. I mean, we've shat on retail WoW quite a bit, and just a lot of modern MMORPGs, but like they do a lot of things right in terms of design. If they implement in different ways, they have a complete winner. Like, there's no reason for Final Fantasy 14 not to copy that mythic system in World of Warcraft. You can please everybody, and you can even and you told me that the mythic dungeons in WoW are designed to be basically done as many times as you want. You keep unlocking higher mythic difficulties, right?
Yes. So throughout the Age of the Expansion, you can always just keep increasing your mythic number. So if you complete a mythic 4, mythic plus 4 dungeon, let's say in time, you have a time limit like 30 minutes, you will upgrade to being able to do mythic plus 5s, then plus 6s, and plus 7. It never ends. It just keeps going up.
That's awesome. So again, you can basically hit the absolute limit of what you can do. Like, you have a best in slot gear for every party member, and everyone using potions at the exact same time and praying for the best possible crits. And then it's fun to try to have a perfect run. That sounds really fun actually, and it's a way to keep yourself engaged in the game a lot longer. Like, I would love Final Fantasy 14 to have that. It's a really smart system.
Agreed. And it really does push. Like, I think there's only like a very, very, you have to be very elite to do these very high mythic plus dungeons.
Yeah, and let it be told, I don't think I'm like an exclusionary elitist or anything. I don't think there should be, the majority of content should only be for the elite players or something. Because Savage content as is in Final Fantasy 14, people saying it should be done by pugs or it should be done by normies. Like, as is, only 2.5% of NA players ever clear Savage content. Okay, so 2.5% at any time at the end of a tier have cleared the 4th fight. More people have cleared the 1st and 2nd fight, but 2.5% is not a big number anyway. It's already kind of a minority of player base. And I'm not saying we should only design fights for the hardcore. Again, the idea of a mythic system, the way WoW does it, is you can get the hardcore and the casuals and everything in between. A casual player might be able to do Mythic 1 and Mythic 2. Maybe it'd be hardcore to get beyond that. It just seems like everybody wins.
Yep.
I'm not an elitist. All right, I do like some hardcore stuff, but obviously no game can survive on a hardcore audience alone. And I do see the benefit of having all the. I like collectibles in games too. I like cosmetics. Farming for that stuff is also really fun. So you can't have a game of just hardcore players. Such a game doesn't exist. It wouldn't make sense.
All right. Well, moving on. I got the big patch or announcement coming for Dauntless tomorrow. It's a game we haven't really played since closed beta, right? Like, it's been a while.
2017, right? 2017 or 2016? I think 2017 it came out, or 2016.
Yeah. So September 26th, this month, it's going to be leaving early access. It's going to enter 1.0. And I think this might be a good time to give it another go. We haven't really looked at it since it came out. And it's trying to be basically a free-to-play Monster Hunter-inspired game. And I believe it is now exclusive on the Epic launcher.
Yes, and they're getting more players because of that, because Epic has been pushing them quite hard. And there is no other Monster Hunter-esque games. And we've talked for a while, like, if you like boss fights and you don't want to like grind, I mean, you do grind boss fights in Dauntless, but essentially you're doing if you never played Dauntless before, it's very similar to Monster Hunter. You basically queue for these hunts, and all the hunts are in the game are basically fighting bosses, and you just kind of find the telegraphs of the bosses. It's action oriented. You're just doing these boss fights, which are really fun. But my problem with Dauntless was early when I played it in beta was you basically have to farm the boss fights, and they're really fun the first time you learn a boss fight, especially when you're playing with your friends, just friends, like 4 people co-op. It's really cool. You gotta learn the best strats doing it, because the fights can take like 10 minutes sometimes, or some crazy a decent amount of time. And you gotta like learn the telegraphs, learn the attack patterns, find the best way to do as much damage as possible. It's really cool. But in order to get new gear, you gotta farm the same enemies over and over again, the same bosses. So instead of farming like orcs, you're farming bosses, which is still more exciting, but it can definitely get a bit repetitive. But I'm sure they've changed a lot since I played.
I mean, someone in chat mentioned that not a lot did change. And I'm hoping that I'm not going to try it till this patch comes out. And I'm hoping the 1.0 patch adds enough that it's going to feel new to me. So we will see. We will see. Yeah. I think Epic hasn't bought the studio yet. It just is, they just partnered up. But I think Epic should just buy them. I think Rocket League and Dauntless are both good examples of the kind of game and the variety of game you can make with Unreal. So I think it's actually a good advertisement for Epic in terms of, look, our engine can do all these different kind of games.
And they're really smart to have it free to play. Again, there are no other Monster Hunter like games that are free. You'd think they'd be more like Chinese clones to Monster Hunter, but there really aren't that many. We've seen so many MOBAs, so many battle royale games. I guess designing a more action-oriented game like Monster Hunter wasn't easy, because again, all this time, it's really just Dauntless is the only free to play Monster Hunter like game. So good for them. They at least made something a bit different. And we've seen so many free to play games that are just copycats or Me Too's or nonsense, but it's different, and I think it's developed by a Western studio too. Yeah, but you don't want to play that Chinese Monster Hunter. Goo Glue Goo. I did a video for a long time ago. It's literally Chinese spyware.
Also shut down now. It's shut down.
Yeah, it's gone. It literally, like, after I played that game on the Tencent launcher, after I closed the game, I would get like Chinese shopping ads on my desktop. Like desktop, they just pop out from the corner. I'm like, what the hell is this? And that game installed like all this weird Chinese spyware, and it was through the Tencent's own launcher back then, which is weird. So yeah, a lot of people have had this issue too. If you search like Tencent Monster Hunter Online spyware. It really does come with spyware, which is bizarre for a Tencent title or a big budget game.
So that reminds me, it might be time for me to reformat, because the other day I opened Internet Explorer for the first time in a long time, just to sometimes you go to a website, it says you read your free articles. So I use a different browser when that happens. So I exhausted my browsers, so I tried Internet Explorer. As soon as I opened it, the first thing I see on Internet Explorer is some Chinese web portal. And there's no way I went to that site, You got
your browser got hijacked.
My browser
defaulted homepage.
Some bullshit pirated program or something I have installed hijacked my IE, and I never knew because I don't use IE. So, something to worry about.
Speaking of Chinese spyware, I got one more story, because I did my first video for Eternal Magic, Altays. I bet you barely heard of that game, but the first look is on the YouTube channel, and it's a Chinese developed. It's by Douyi. I'm not sure if it's the same Douyi that has the Twitch like website in China, but it's by Douyi, and it's like this WoW/Alids Online clone. And after I installed the game, it installs through the 101 XP launcher. It's some Russian publisher. The game is available in English in North America and Europe. The game itself, was okay, but I'm pretty sure the launcher is like spyware, because once you have I had the launcher running for about 3-4 days, and I just left it running because, like, why not? Like, I installed the game, I was gonna play, I didn't get around to it. After like 4 days of leaving the launcher running in my background, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go play Eternal Magic now and do my video for it, right? First look, and on the 5th day, I got an email from Cox saying you are near your bandwidth cap of 1 TB. I'm like, that is not possible. I on average I spend like 300 GB or 500 GB a month. I never get close to my bandwidth cap of 1 TB. So I look at my usage, and what do you know? The 4 days I left the launcher running, my bandwidth is like 300 gigabytes per day. So the 101 XP launcher with Eternal Magic just literally uploads content nonstop, like without telling you.
Nice.
So it's basically spyware. So if you install the game, make sure you do not leave the launcher running, and close that shit as soon as possible.
Speaking of launchers, I doubt Rockstar is doing this, but Rockstar is now launching its own launcher. Isn't that exciting?
Ooh, that's just what we need. We got the Steam, we got Epic Games, we had the my.com launcher. What a joke.
We got EA Origins, we got Ubisoft has one.
All right, listen, Altays, for all the marbles, do you remember the name of Area's launcher?
Ignite.
Yes, Altays remembers Area Ignite. That launcher. Okay, Altays, for even more marbles, do you remember the EG launcher? Anyone in the chat, remember what the EG launcher was? I remember. I know it. It wasn't the EG launcher. IJJI, yeah. It had a name.
I thought it was EG. Let me think.
No, it's not just EG launcher. That's ARC. It's a different one. That's Perfect Worlds. Glyph is for Tryon. Fusion? No, you're close! Canaris, you're kind of close! You're so close, Canaris. Okay, the answer was Reactor. It was called the Reactor.
Right. Okay,
the EG Reactor launcher. Yeah, Fusion was so close. Fusion was basically like the right answer.
Fusion Reactor. There you go.
Yeah, it was just Reactor. But yeah, we've had so many launches over the years. But it looks like Rockstar's got their own, but it's for their own games. Are they going to be selling other games on there or no?
Just for their own games. And honestly, it makes sense. When you think about how much Grand Theft Auto 5 is sold on Steam, I mean, they're giving 30% of that to Steam for nothing, And they're not going to be removing their existing games. But I do suspect GTA 6, if that ever comes out, will be obviously an exclusive on Rockstar Games Launcher. And that way they'll just save, tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and the My.Games launcher will also be on Steam. Nice. That's what we need. A launcher on a launcher. We got some Inception shit going on over here, boys. And of course, they're not going to... If they put their own games exclusive on their launcher, no one's going to be playing, Revolution Online or Skyforge. They need the distribution by having it everywhere. Just what we need, boys. More launchers. Speaking of launcher drama, Borderlands 3. Altays, remember all that nonsense about Borderlands 3 is on Epic Games? Fuck Epic Games. It's gonna fail. No one's gonna play Borderlands 3 because Epic Games. Hear about that, Altays? Hear about the recent news about that?
I didn't hear the recent news.
Recent news, Altays. Borderlands 3 PC doubles Borderlands 2's peak concurrent users at launch. So the peak concurrent users that Borderlands 2 had, Borderlands 3 at launch has double those numbers.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either, because people are, I don't think most people really care what launcher it's on. I do find it weird, that people are so loyal to Steam. I don't care about Steam. I don't care about Epic. I'm gonna go wherever. Like, these companies don't care about you. Don't care about them. Don't give your loyalty to Steam or Epic. These companies want to make money. So it's weird to see loyalty on that degree.
Yeah. Also,
it's a different distribution platform.
I feel like Epic is being way too generous with these free games, though. Like, I think some weeks now we get 2 free games, and they're decent. Some of them are decent games. Like, I got Celeste for free. I actually paid for Celeste like a year ago, which in hindsight I regret because I could have got it for free. But there's some good games they give for free, so you guys should be checking out those weekly Epic titles.
Yeah, I think it's fair to like the convenience of it, but like the stance that people take, that it doesn't really matter. It just irks me a little bit. Like, the loyalty to demonstrate, like, oh my god, I only play games on Steam or something. Some kind of betrayal for the game not to be on Steam at launch. Like, it's weird. Again, I prefer the convenience too of Steam, but people take a very personal attack when a game is only on Epic for a while or something. It's because what's remarkable is, like, if you actually care about the game, right? If you actually are loyal to Borderlands as a franchise, like, you love the game, you want more Borderlands games, right? You would want the game to be on whatever platform to make the most money on. Like I love the Persona series, for example. Like, it's a JRPG series. I played and beat through Persona 5. Love the game. Love Persona 4 and 3. Like, if they can make more money being on X platform, good. I want more Persona games. I want Atlas to make money off Persona to make more games. Like, I've done it for Dragon Age as well. I remember I pirated Dragon Age, I beat it, and then I bought the game because I want to give them money. Like, if I care about the game and I want more of that game, I want that studio to make more money. It's just weird that it's weird to see people loyal to a platform like Steam when, like, they don't make games. They're just platform. It's just very odd.
I think the bigger danger of these third-party platforms like Steam or Epic is, as more and more of these publishers or developers make their own thing, like, whether it's Rockstar Launcher, Bethesda has one, Activision Blizzard has one, and now Call of Duty, by the way, is going to be on Activision, a Blizzard launcher. I think the problem is going to be there's not going to be much left, for Steam to host besides these small indie games.
That's true. Everyone's going their own way now.
Yeah, like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six is one of the biggest games on Steam. I can't imagine future Ubisoft games being on Steam when they have their own launcher.
Yeah, they'll ease people into they're clearly easing people into their own launchers. I mean, I can see this game being on there, and then maybe the next game they'll be exclusive on their platform for the first few months, and then maybe add to Steam later as a distribution platform. And they can even make it so the game costs $10 more on Steam. Oh, you don't want to pay $10 more? Or just buy it on their own launcher. They can make their own launcher more appealing in a side by side. So clearly, they're pushing more people off. Every company wants people on their own platform. They don't want to be relying on Steam.
I mean, I can't blame them for that. 30%. I mean, at least Epic is taking 12%, but some of these guys take a big chunk.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else we got?
That's true, side one. Again, if you promised your game to be on Steam, like the way Borderlands did, yeah, I agree. That you should not lie to your customers. Okay, that's a slap in the face for your loyal users. That outrage, I completely understand. A game company should not communicate one thing and then do another. It's just kind of a douchebag move.
Oh, there was a funny case where I think Meatball, Super Meat Boy,
Super Meatball.
There's a new game coming out.
Yeah,
and they said they're going to be Epic exclusive. And there was an interview with the guy making it, and he's like, "Yeah, they just offered us so much money that we'd be stupid not to do it." So end of discussion. You guys are, too bad if you don't like it. So
I appreciate that level of honesty. Yeah. A lot of people kind of tiptoe around this issue. Like, they don't like talking about money. Developers don't want to say we just got paid to do this, right? For some reason, it's always bad to say you did something for the money. It does seem kind of iffy, right? But be honest about it. Be honest with it. I think their users would appreciate the honesty more too. This diplomacy is really silly. Here you go. You want honesty time, guys? Go to MMOs.com right now. Do you see that giant Travian ad? We have an ad for Travian on MMOs.com right now. It's a browser pay-to-win game, strategy game. Absolute duker of a game. You pay, you get all the advantages. Hey, they're paying us $1,000 or something to put that ad there. They gave us the money. We'd be stupid not to take it because the ads are going to appear there anyway. We might as well show what gives us the most money. This game's been around for 15 years apparently, which is pretty nuts. Even on the Even on the official like news post I put up for this game, I didn't have to. By the way, they basically gave us money to put the ads up. I don't have to give any additional coverage if I don't want to, right? That's like optional if you want to. And they sent me like, hey, we have a 15th anniversary. If you can cover it, it'd be nice. You don't have to though. So I put up a news article saying, hey, they're celebrating the 15th anniversary. By the way, the game is hella pay to win. It's weird that it's
Actually,
pretty crazy how pay to win they are.
I'm going to defend Travian.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I think that the genre is boring, right? Browser strategy games. But if you're gonna if you like that genre for whatever reason, I would recommend the German games, Travian being one of them. InnoGames makes a couple of these.
Yeah.
Over the Chinese ones.
The Chinese,
because
there
is actually a limit in how much you can spend. So you can buy these like for like $10 a month, $20 a month. You buy these certain buffs basically, right? But that's it. There's no you can't just pour like $1 million into it and just win.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point.
So there is
actually,
a cap actually in how much benefit you can get from spending money.
That's actually worth clarifying because clearly Travian is not nearly as pay to win as the Chinese ones.
Yes.
And a lot of the other browser-based ones, because in these games there is a limit. You can't pour $1 million the way you can in a lot of games. So you can pay for an advantage, but you can't pay for like an infinite advantage. So good for Travian, right? I feel better about running their ads on MMOs.com now.
Yeah. So I think it's a mistake to blur it with the Chinese. So these German companies were, I think, the first ones to come up with this.
Travian is one of the earliest of these. This game came out in 2004, guys. The same year WoW launched, the browser-based strategy game Travian launched.
Yeah. So initially, this was the model, right, where everyone plays and you can pay for a percent boost, and that's it. And then I think the Chinese swooped in and just copied that and just turned to shit like everything else, So they made it like I think Ebony was one of the first of these Chinese ones or Asian ones, and they just kind of destroyed the model where there's no capped spending now, there's no balance, there's nothing.
I'm actually gonna clarify that news article because I did forget. I do often blur the line between Travian and some of these other ones. So I remember another earlier one, Ask for Empires, was one of the first ones I played back in like 2005. It was a text-based one, and you could still pay for like subscriptions, but that was it. I'm not sure what the game is like now, but like these games are actually not bad. The core gameplay I think is kind of fun in Travian and really even the Chinese ones. But the problem, of course, in the whaling ones, you can just spend infinite money and it ruins the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of that whaling stuff does come from the East, from Asian games. And it is corrupting a lot of the studios here now. But I think I haven't played Travian in like 9 years. But back then at least it was capped how much you could spend.
Yeah, I'll clarify the news post for them. Good for them. Japan does do actual whaling, as Canary says. That's true. These Chinese games are always pretty infamous about it too. Even on Eternal Magic, again, it's kind of like a WoW clone. I was looking at the cash shop in my first look video, and they sell like bikinis in Eternal Magic that give you like stats, like it's cosmetic bikinis with stats on them. So when your costumes give stats, there's gonna be some pay to win stuff. And Chinese games always like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, are there any like Chinese developed MMOs that are like really clean in terms of their monetization? It just seems like they really fit the stereotype that they're always all like maximum sleaze. I think Scarlet Blade is Korean, isn't it, Canaris? Pretty sure it was Korean developed. I don't remember though. I know it was an area, but I'm not sure. I think it was. I forgot who developed it.
I got a fun story. So we know that WoW is going to be 15 years old this year, and they released their classic server. But there's another 15-year-old MMO celebrating its 15th year anniversary and releasing a classic server, and that is Dofus. Ooh,
it's oldie.
Yeah, 15 years.
One of the few French-developed games too.
That's right. And they're launching a classic server. And I don't know what's changed over the years in Dofus. I never really got into that much. But if for those of you who kind of grew up with this game, who want to play retro Dofus, know that there is a new server coming out. It'll be open at the end of September. So if you can relive your Dofus experience. The name was always funny, I gotta say.
Dofus, it's one of the few French-developed MMOs, because obviously there are French-developed games and everything on Ubisoft. I always thought Dofus is Doofus.
Yeah.
And it's also one of the only turn-based games of its kind as well, so good for them. It does spice things up a bit. Did you hear about that concert, Altays, in Adventure Quest Worlds, I think?
I have not. What happened?
Okay, so like everyone talked about the Marshmallow concert in Fortnite, right?
Yep.
So the guys that make Adventure Quest are like, we want to be cool too, right? So they hired like some ultra boomer band to like be in their game. I'm trying to see who it was. I think they hired Korn. Yeah, they hired Korn.
Wow.
Korn.
Haven't heard of that in a while.
Yeah, so they're doing a concert in Adventure Quest. I'm gonna link that. Yeah, it was Korn. So it just Fortnite's got all the hip kids with Marshmallow, and then we got the boomer times with Artist Entertainment and this. They want to do their own concert.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, is Korn still popular?
No clue.
I mean, that name rang a bell when we were in high school. I would hear it once in a while. Do you listen to Korn?
Pretty.
Korn is. I mean, I didn't know they were still like popular or even still around nowadays. Dude, get your own Korn. They haven't put anything out recently. Okay, so like it's interesting. It's very very boomer-esque. Their new album slaps. Does Dragon Force still put out new music? I remember in high school, Altays, we would put them through the fire and flames on while playing MapleStory and World of Warcraft. That was our jam. Okay, we listened to random Dragon Force playlists. Do they still put out new stuff? Altays, I don't know anything about music. We don't really listen to music.
Is Dragon Force still cool, or is it cringe now? That's a question.
I'm pretty sure it was kind of cringe when we were listening to it too, but like we liked it.
Yeah, we did like it.
Were they ever cool, or were they always kind of cringe?
I have no clue. We weren't cool enough to know what was cool, so.
Yeah, we were kind of nerdy in just a little bit nerdy in high school. You put on Dragon. There you go, Sidewinder. Exactly. AQ World was the shit in 6th grade. Korn was the shit in the 2nd. Wow. Oof, they're real old then.
There's this other like rock metal band or something, Sabaton. They do like historic songs that are kind of cringe.
I like those. I've listened to those recently. They got
Really?
What's it? I like
The Winged Hussars.
The Winged Hussars. I like the Samurai one, the Sword and Steel. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to it too, but I think it falls in the cringe category. I gotta tell you.
Most definitely, but I like it. Again, this is from 2 people that have no taste in music. I can't name like. I could name like 3 of the Beatle people. Okay, hold on. John Lennon.
Okay. It's the only one I can.
Something McCarthy.
Paul McCartney.
Okay, well, we got this out there. Do I have a 3rd one? There's 5, right?
I have no clue how many there are.
I think there's 5.
I know one of their wives, the one everyone hates.
Who?
Is it Yoko Ono?
Never even heard that name in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
She broke up with the Beatles. That's all I know. I don't know how or why or who, what, where, when, but that's the line you hear.
Hold on. So I got 2 so far: McCartney and John Lennon. There's 5, right?
All right, let's move on to the post game.
Okay, post game.
Seems
We'll
like
see if we
post
can
game
name more
talk.
Beatles.
All right, so thanks for watching, and stick with us, and we can talk about nonsense.
All right, later for YouTube.